All right, Larry Krueger here from the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show at Levi's Stadium. As we join you on a Thursday, late breaking news, Mike Silver just reporting that his sources saying that the 49ers safety Talanoa Hufanga's wrist injury is serious enough that he's unlikely to play at all this season. That's a tough blow for the 49ers. Hufanga, obviously a terrific player, a guy that helps get guys lined up in the right spot, probably one of their smartest defensive players, almost like having a coach on the field. And to lose a player of that caliber is a major, major loss for the 49ers. Now, what do they have at safety? Obviously, they have Jair Brown. Brown continues to play fantastic football. They have Malik, and he's the starter at strong safety, and then you've got or at free safety, and then you got Malik Mustafa starting at strong safety, and Mustafa looks fantastic. So Brown and Mustafa are their first team safeties. They've got George Odom on the practice squad. He's more of a special team player, but George has shown from time to time that he can play some significant snaps from scrimmage and play at least with a lot of force. He's not the most natural player at safety, but he's a hitter. He's very physical and very, very competitive and accountable. So Odom is a guy they could use in a pinch. They also have two options on their practice squad internally right now before they even begin to look outside, and that would be Adrian Amos, the former Penn State Nittany Lion who played for Chicago, came out in the draft, played for Chicago, played with Eddie Jackson and those guys, and then moved on to Green Bay, played with Darnell Savage in the backfield there for the Packers. You know, Amos is 6 feet, about 220. He's got experience. He was a former college cornerback, so he's got experience as a cover man, and he potentially could help this team at safety, and I would imagine he'd be the first guy who gets the call. The other name on the practice squad is Jalen Mahoney. Now, Mahoney's an interesting guy as well, pretty athletic, and every time, I see him, he continues to play more like a veteran, less like a rookie. He plays with a lot of poise. He really looked good all summer. Both in practice and in the games. There's things for him to work on, and he's still a young player, but he's a good prospect. Jalen Mahoney, the rookie from Vanderbilt, and he's on their practice squad as well. So I kind of view Mahoney as more of a developmental player on the practice squad and not somebody they would go to right away. They just signed Amos a couple weeks ago, so how many mental reps does he have in their defense? I don't think it's an issue at this point. I think Amos should be able to step in and play maybe as soon, as probably after the bye week or maybe even sooner if he's got to go this week against Dallas. But I think Amos is a solid veteran. He's not a star, but he's a physical player. He's got a little bit better coverage ability than you would think a safety would have. In some ways, I kind of think Amos might have better coverage ability than Hufanga. Hufanga, though, is just such the coach on the field. In the run game, his film study is amazing, and he there's no hesitation. When he sees it, there's no hesitation at all. He just goes. He attacks the mesh point in the on the run, the quarterback running back handoff mesh point with just a vengeance. He's just with total conviction. Now, there's some downside to his game. He's fallen off some tackles, over the last couple of years. So he's not the most forceful striker in the run game. His timing is awesome. He knows where to be at the right time. He doesn't always bring a ton of force, and there are more forceful tacklers and more sure tacklers than Talanoa. But he knows where he's supposed to be, and he makes a lot of impact plays in the run game. As far as other weaknesses, I kind of think Talanoa is just marginal on the ball down the field. He's incredibly competitive. He's accountable, but he just lacks, deep speed. And against some of the bigger, not bigger, but the faster, more explosive wide receivers in the league, he's going to have a hard time matching up down the field. But what you lose, as I said, a coach on the field and a guy who's really, really smart and gets guys lined up and knows what an offense is trying to do and is very instinctive and can, even though he doesn't run fast for the stopwatch, he can play fast because he understands timing. He understands, he does a lot of film study. They'll get into a formation. He'll know that they run a certain play out of that formation. He will have done the mental reps, and he'll fire through, and it will look like, how did Talanoa, guess right? Well, he didn't guess right. He looked at his scouting report, and he saw that when they're in this formation, with the back offset to this side, that they, have these series of plays, and that they're going to hand it off more than the quarterback's going to keep it. And if he attacks the mesh point, with aggression, then he might be able to blow up the entire play. And those are the kinds of plays that Hufanga makes on the regular that are special. You know what I mean? And you lose that when he goes out of the game. So you've got Jair Brown, you've got Mustafa. I think it's a great combination. You got Odom, who's a terrific special teamer, and now you probably call Amos off the practice squad to be that fourth safety. But that will be an interesting thing to see if the 49ers do look for safety help. One of the names that, to me, or one of the teams that makes a lot of sense at the trade deadline is the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think the Jaguars aren't going anywhere, and they've got a number of interesting players. To me, the perfect addition for the 49ers, if they could make it, would be Darnell Savage. Why? Because Savage is the kind of guy that can play nickel corner. He can play boundary corner in a pinch. He can play free safety. He can play strong safety. He hits with enough force to be solid in the run game. But his greatest strength is he's a phenomenal pass defender with fantastic speed and coverage ability as a safety. So if I were the 49ers, that's the guy I'd want. That's the guy that I'd call Trent Baalke and see if I could get Darnell Savage. But the news of the day, according to Mike Silver, it sounds like Talanoa Hufanga's injury to the wrist will keep him out for the entire season, and a bad break for the 49ers. Another injury, and it's starting to feel like the injuries are starting to mount for the Niners. JJ's got the hip. Debo's obviously been ill. CMC's got the double Achilles. Brandon Ayuk's done for the year with a gruesome leg injury. Now Kittle's got a foot injury. Greenlaw, what's his status? Will he be able to come back from his Achilles injury? Now Hufanga, who might be your most experienced safety and your smartest safety, he's out for the year. So, the injuries have mounted for the 49ers, and at some point it will probably be too much. But, I do expect them to be in the market for a safety, probably not a trade, probably more of just signing somebody off the street. But if they do look for a trade, to me, the guy that you'd want is Darnell Savage from the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think Savage would be the guy who would fit. Savage is the guy that has value. You'd probably have to give a fourth-round pick to get him, but it probably would be worth it. Thanks for supporting the Krug Show. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krug Show. Thanks to Sharp Corners Sports Cards and Collectibles for sponsoring this video. Thanks to all of you guys for supporting the Krug Show on YouTube.